What are some common mistakes that businesses make when trying to scale their operations in the standby power industry? You should be making industry standard about $300,000 per employee. So if you have 10 employees, you should be doing about $3 million in revenue per year. I can tell you right now, it's my experience that this business is not going away anytime soon. You are going to have need for standby power forever. It is not going to go away. You being an entrepreneur is risk. And you have to think to yourself, how much of a financial risk do you want to take personally and with your business? You have to have the right tools. You've got to have the right training. You've got to have the right equipment. You have to have commitment to the industry. You've got to have commitment to your employees to make that all happen. Value is determined by the customer. The value that you bring is told, or is the perception that the customer has. First thing is communication. Second thing, professionalism. Third thing, do what you say that you're going to do. If you're not getting back to your customers, you are going to lose them. And if you're not getting back to your customer, that means you're probably understaffed. Welcome to the Standby Generator Podcast, brought to you by Power Alliance. I'm your host, Jim Swetman. Together, we will dive into the world of the standby power business, offering expert insights, industry trends, and actionable strategies to help you grow and scale your generator business. Whether you're looking to optimize your operations, increase profitability, or stay ahead of the curve, this podcast is your go-to resource. So grab a seat and let's power up your business for success. Hi, this is Jim Swetman. Welcome to another podcast. Today, what I wanted to do is go over questions that I'm getting from a lot of standby power dealers across the United States. So, Power Alliance, we've been up and working here for quite a while, and I'm getting some really, really good questions from dealers just like yourself that are looking for some answers. So I compiled several questions here that I wanted to go over that hopefully will help you out as a power dealer. One of the questions here is from Sam. He is from Knoxville, Tennessee, asks, what are some common mistakes that businesses make when trying to scale their operations in the standby power industry? What are some of the common mistakes that businesses make when trying to scale their operations in the standby power industry? Well, there's a lot of answers to that question, but let's hit some of the stuff generally. When you're looking to scale your business, everything, of course, is based on profitability. Profitability is obviously the first one. If you're making money, you can go ahead and scale, and there's obviously deeper stuff into what does that mean as far as making money and percentages and things like that. But the second item to this question, I would say, is efficiencies. There's three operations to your company. There's your back office, there's your operations department, and your sales department. Everything has to be efficient in what it's doing. You do not want to overbuild your company too fast. You should be making industry standard about $300,000 per employee. So if you have 10 employees, you should be doing about $3 million in revenue per year. Now, maybe you've grown a little bit and you've got 12 employees there, but you do not want to get below that. If you're right at that mark of 10 and 12 employees and you're doing $3 million or less, it's mostly because there's efficiency issues in what you're doing. And that could be not having proper process and procedures documented in place. It could be not having a good management team working underneath you with clear expectations about what they should be doing. It could be that costs have gone up and you're not controlling your costs. There's a lot of things that have to be in there. So be very careful. It's not about having a whole bunch of employees. It's about making sure that you look at the data that you have and that you're scaling your company accordingly. Scaling your company also obviously has to do with opportunity. There's one of the questions I have here from a dealer is about competition in your marketplace. You want to make sure that you take a look at the opportunities that you have as a power dealer and growth in the marketplace. I can tell you right now, it's my experience that this business is not going away anytime soon. You are going to have a need for standby power forever. It is not going to go away. We've all heard the stories of the stability of the grid and power quality issues, and we're almost in like a quiet time right now. Yes, we have the storms, but this is almost something that it's almost too quiet as far as the stability of the grid, especially when we're right on the line as far as available power and what the reserve power requirements are. So just my thought on this thing. Write down this date that you heard this and look at the date that I put this together. But it's almost like things are a bit too quiet, and we want to make sure that we're obviously scaling on our business. Scaling your business also, you being an entrepreneur, is risk. And you have to think to yourself, how much of a financial risk do you want to take personally and with your business? What kind of risk do you want to take with the current employees that you have? Do you have a good set of employees that you want to run with for the next 3 to 5 years and grow from a $3 million to a $5 million to a $10 million company in the next 5 or 7 years? You have to think about what your risk tolerances are to make that happen. I would think that if you're watching this video, that you are a risk taker and you're looking for somebody that has been through that before, which I have. I've taken a lot of risk. It's worked out very well, and the standby power industry has been very good to me and very lucrative as far as that goes. So let's go back to the original question. What are the common mistakes that you can make? I would have to say is growing too big too fast. Sometimes you get excited because there is an outage going on, and all of a sudden you're getting 300 installs, and last year they did 200 installs, or you're doing 800 installs, and last year they did 300, and you think the power outages are going to happen all the time. So you have to be very careful. You have to be strategic in the way that you grow. You have to continue to grow. You have got to be looking at least a 10% growth per year just to maintain what you have, because inflation, profitabilities eat that up instantly. So you have to be looking at that minimum as far as growth goes. Growth also has to do with training your executive team that you have. You should not be the only one that's out there doing sales. As a business owner, you should be delegating those responsibilities. You as a business owner should not be out there doing installations. You as a business owner should not be out there doing maintenance. As a business owner, to grow your company, you have got to delegate those responsibilities in a very detailed, process-oriented fashion that you can make sure that you're very explicit to the people that you bring on board to grow your company of what the expectations are that you have. So those are some of the things that you can do, or some of the things that you shouldn't do in scaling your business. Let's move on to some other questions, because I got a bunch of other questions here that had come up. How do you set yourself apart from competitors in a saturated market like the standby generator industry, how do you set yourself apart from your competitors? Very, very common question that I'm getting. There are more and more dealers, as you know, just on the Generac side. Now there's over 8,000 dealers. I can tell you when I got started back over 20 years ago, there were maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000 Generac dealers across the United States. Obviously, things have changed. Things have gotten worse. The percentages are way up as far as people owning generators. But now over 8,000 Generac, now counting Kohler, Briggs & Stratton, and some of the other units that are out there. How do you set yourself apart as from the competitors? Again, a lot of answers to those questions. I'm just going to take 2 or 3 that have helped me out running a very successful standby generator business up here in the Northeast. What you have to be is you have to be consistent. You have to be detailed. You have to have the right tools. You've got to have the right training. You've got to have the right equipment. You have to have commitment to the industry. You've got to have commitment to your employees to make that all happen. Once you pull all that together, you can start building yourself a company. You have got to do the installations correctly. You have got to train your salespeople to be professional. You have got to train your techs to do what I call an affordable installation, but it has to be right, because the only way that you're going to gain reputation is by being consistent in what you do, being truthful in what you do, being honest in what you do, and that all starts from you being the business owner and pushing that all the way down to your sales team and your installation team. You have to have the right tools and equipment. You have to have the right vans. You can't go out and buy a $2,500 van and throw stuff in it, and the people are paying $12,000 for an install, and he's taking you 3 days to do the installation. Forget about it. It isn't going to happen. You have to be very, very detailed and organized in what you do, because you know what? Your competitors aren't. Your competitors are struggling out there. They don't know how to do a proper install. They don't know how to communicate with the customer. They don't know how to send text and emails and phone calls to schedule that installation, or get the building inspector there the day of the install, or the electrical inspector there the day of the install. They don't know how to do all of that, but you know what? You do. And at Power Alliance, we can help you with those process and procedures. We have all those documented in our library. So if you don't have all those documents and procedures, from the proper sales call to the installation to the maintenance and everything that has to happen and the numbers that you should be making, give us a call at Power Alliance, join as a member, and we can help you out with all the things that you're guessing about. And you shouldn't be guessing at anything, especially when there's somebody like an organization that's a peer-to-peer network, mastermind community like we can, and we can help you guys out with being a successful company in a very competitive marketplace. We can help you out with that. Another question. Again, I'm kind of rambling on here a little bit, but I get fired up. So here's another question. How can companies in the standby power business ensure they're offering the best value without compromising on quality? How can companies in the standby power business ensure they're offering the best value without compromising on quality? Value is determined by the customer. The value that you bring is told, or is the perception that the customer has. So it's hard to say exactly what that is. Again, you have to provide an affordable installation, affordable workmanship to that customer. So again, going back here on answering that question, how can the insured offering the best value? You have to be able to streamline your operations in order to keep your costs down. There are companies out there for just a basic installation that are charging $16,000, $18,000. Well, you know what? You're not going to be in business that long for a basic install. Obviously, it depends on the install, how much gas pipe, propane, costs, and things like that. But you have to know the marketplace, and you have to know how the marketplace is being priced up. But you don't ever price your competitors. You price what your costs are, and you get out there and do the best that you can. And what does that mean, the best that you can? And I want to talk about it again. Process and procedures in place that are being managed, that are being policed. So you as a business owner have to make sure that you're watching over your salespeople and training them properly. You have to go out on the installations and make sure your installs are going correctly. You have to have the final checklist with the customer. You as a business owner, especially if you have a small business, or maybe even if you have a large company that's doing 1,500 installs a year, 2,000 installs a year, you know what? As a business owner, you need to make a phone call every once in a while to that customer that just had that generator installed. You need to be on the pulse of this business in order to be correctly. You need to get feedback from your employees as far as how things are going. If they say, hey, you know what? I've got an idea that might enhance our installation process, and you say, well, we don't do that anymore. You need to really listen to what's going on. That will bring value back to your business and value back to the customer. So value is a very open-ended word, but you have to do the best that you can, using all of the tools that are available out there for you to make sure that you're as efficient as possible. Hiring more people doesn't mean that you're going to be bigger. You have to look at the efficiencies of the way that you're doing your business. That's what it's all about in the standby power industry. A couple more questions here real quick. How do financing options and warranties impact the decision-making process for customers purchasing standby generators? How do financing options and warranties impact the decision-making? This is a big deal. When I started out as a Generac dealer almost 25 years ago now, everybody was paying cash. There were no points on the credit cards that you could put on credit cards. Everybody was paying cash or writing a check. It was very, very less than 10% when I got started. People were putting things on credit cards, and people that were buying generators back 20 years ago could afford it. They didn't have to finance it. The financing options have really opened up the opportunities for the standard person to buy a standby generator to protect themselves and increase their quality of life. So financing options definitely has to be a big part of your marketing, your sales campaign. When your salesman goes out there, you definitely want to have one or two financing options, and you need to be extremely detailed. Your sales team needs to be extremely detailed about what those financing options are and what is the negative and positive to that. Financing options, if they want to pay by credit card, obviously there is a convenience fee that you should be charging for that credit card. We used to charge 3% for a convenience fee, and they would say, what? How come you're doing that? Well, it costs you 3% to run that credit card, and you don't want to eat that as a business owner. And the other way is cash. Cash is the price, 3% convenience fee on top of the pricing, and then here are some of the finance options, and you should have one, at least two, maybe finance options so they could take a look at it. So the financing has opened up the marketplace, and it's absolutely been fantastic, some of the options that are available to help that consumer get that generator put in that. Last question here real quick. How can businesses in standby power industry improve their customer retention rates and encourage repeat business? How can businesses in the standby power industry improve their customer retention? Couple of answers to that, of course. And again, there's a lot of answers, but if I had 3 hours, I could go over most of the things that are bouncing around in my head. But let's talk about the obvious, customer retention. Customer retention, first thing is communication. Second thing, professionalism. Third thing, do what you say that you're going to do. If there is an issue, you need to communicate with that customer, whatever way that they feel comfortable, whether it's texts, emails, phone calls are still the best way, I say, is to communicate with somebody. Also, if there is a problem coming up, say an installation, you can't make that install date, and you know a week or two in advance, call that customer a week or two in advance and say you can't make that install date for whatever reason that is. Don't wait till the day before. Communication. If you can't get there for the maintenance visit, your tech is sick that day, you should have some depth in the bench anyways, and you should never be canceling anything that you've set up with the customer weeks in advance because they've probably taken off work that day, or somebody stayed home for half a day. So you should be able to make your maintenance and your installation. But customer retention has to do with honesty, doing a good job, communicating with them, being professional in what you do, and offering them, the customer, what they're already looking for. An example is, if you've already installed the generator, they need maintenance, and you definitely want to talk about a 1 or 2 or 3 year maintenance program. You want to try and get them signed up for a prepaid maintenance program. And you also want to talk about the extended warranties that are available. And again, they don't know usually anything about these options. It's either your job as a salesperson, or if the tech is there for the first time doing a maintenance visit, you definitely want to tell them about the maintenance options that are available for them and communicating with them. Communicating with them and customer retention also has to do with, you know what, once a year or maybe every 6 months, you've got all your customers in your database. Go ahead and send them an email. It could be an email blast to all your customers, thanking them for being a customer, talking about trends in the standby industry, talking about the outages to make sure that they feel comfortable about the generator that they put in and the $12,000 that they just spent, that even though they haven't used it yet, they know that they're going to use it. So communication could be every quarter, every 6 months, or a once a year email blast to go out with them. Also, if the customer does call and they've got a problem with their generator or they want to schedule something, get back to them in a reasonable time within a day or two. Obviously, if it's an emergency, you want to get back to them immediately. If you're not getting back to your customers, you are going to lose them. And if you're not getting back to your customer, that means you're probably understaffed. That means you don't have administrative people that are in the game of what you're running here. You should have enough people in your administrative staff that are in your operations department, your service department, to make sure that you're getting back to those people and scheduling those people when there are issues. That is how you have customer retention. Last question that I have here, then we'll let you go, is how do you balance the cost of installation and maintenance with the value proposition you offer to customers in the standby market? The cost of installation, how do you balance that? The answer to that is this. You need, when you talk about the cost of the installation to that customer one-on-one or over the phone, you need to have a detailed scope of work of what installation costs. And you may have different levels of installation that it is. So you may have level 1 is black iron pipe, underground PVC conduit, and your level 2 installation, maybe we use flex pipe, and it only includes, a 1-year maintenance program with no warranty. that's up to you as a dealer to figure out what the marketplace is doing with that. But the key is to include a complete turnkey installation for your customer, no matter what levels that they want to put together. So just some questions, again, that I've gotten together from dealers across the country. Again, my name is Jim Swetman from Power Alliance. Please take a look at our website, poweralliance.com. Or if you want, even give me a call, email address, jim@poweralliance.com. Give me a ring and we can help you out with all that stuff. So thanks a lot and good luck out there. Thank you for tuning in to the Standby Generator Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share. For more resources, tips, and to connect with other like-minded professionals, visit us at poweralliance.com or visit our social media pages. Until next time, keep powering up your business.